It's now time for our main event with your host, Chris Tetrold Blaine. Welcome to Once Upon a Turnbuckle.
Welcome back to another episode of Once Upon a Turnbuckle, and for this one, this is really something special because I can welcome in true British wrestling royalty, not just British wrestling. I think wrestling as a whole owes a lot to this man and the guys he worked with. Anyone who was a fan of British wrestling sort of back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and are familiar with the days of World of Sport will know this guy, and his name lives on, is synonymous with what many people class as the golden era of British wrestling. So I get to welcome in the Lancashire Lion, Marty Jones. Welcome to the show, mate.
How are you, Chris? Okay?
I'm all good. Yeah. It's been a busy weekend, but we're finishing it on a high. So it's all good. How are you, my friend?
Well, I'm all right. In fact, I'm actually convalescing at the moment. I've just had a bit of a all my friends know and people in the business. I didn't call it a day at wrestling, but people don't realise I started wrestling when I was 6 years of age.
Wow.
So I'm 67 now, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I feel about 25 in my head and everything's all right. But
That's all good.
The problem is I needed an ankle fusion about 3 years ago,
Right.
which is purely just through wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, I started when I was 6 years of age, and I went through the amateur ranks.
Mm.
In my eyes, that's where a lot of people should come through into the business, instead of just trying this job off the street. But that's my view and a lot of other people's views. But time took its toll, and I realised that I've been in the business 61 years now.
Wow.
So there's not many people that's been in the business worldwide that.
No.
So I've had 6 to 8 trips to Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And when they kick you over there, they kick you. But you're allowed to kick them back. You give as good as you get.
Yeah.
I mean, you and your listeners will know when me and Rocco or me and Finley, we got stuck into each other, you know what I mean? So anyway, I slowed down a bit, and then I opened my wrestling school, the Squared Circle Academy, up in Oldham, the other side of Manchester. So that kept me going, and a few things. I've always been involved with wrestling. So anyway, I needed an ankle fusion, but before I did the ankle fusion, it was like bone on bone.
Oh, right.
It sounds horrific, and it was. I had a gap, basically.
Right.
And the surgeons were amazed that I wasn't in a wheelchair. Anyway, he decided that he was going to do my opposite leg's knee.
Right.
Because he said the knee wouldn't support the ankle, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So my right ankle was knackered. My left knee was all right. But anyway, I went for it, and they did me left knee, and there wasn't a problem at all.
Yeah, that's good.
After 14 months and after recovering from the ankle, you can imagine, I'm trying to make it interesting for your viewers, but they don't. Sorry, you're listening. Well, what the problem was, when you was popular in our day, it's not like boxing where they have one fight a month or whatever, every 6 weeks.
Yeah.
When wrestling was popular due to the fact that World of Sport TV was on our TV every Saturday afternoon, that was our shop window.
Yeah.
So if you had a bit of chemistry with people like Finley, Rocco, Regal, and people like that, and Owen Hart, and all these foreigners that came here, because a lot of foreigners came to this country to learn the business. This is the place. And wrestling, I could wrestle 10 times a week, sometimes.
It was literally like a full-time job then, really.
Well, it was. It always has been.
Yeah.
And these people that they don't realise you're not doing 5-6 minutes like they do nowadays.
Yeah.
You look at any of my matches on YouTube with Rocco and Finley and Colin Johnson and all these Pat Rowe and all that, You were doing 8-5s, championships, 12 5-minute rounds.
Yeah.
That's an hour.
Yeah.
You know, 60 minutes, you go for a walk for 60 minutes and tell me how you feel. Never mind throwing somebody about. But these are true facts that people miss.
Yeah.
Anyway, going back to the knee, somehow I got infection in it. And I nearly lost my leg. The infection was that eye.
Wow.
Me and Johnny Saint went to Ireland and I couldn't move. No pain, nothing, just couldn't move.
Right.
So they drained it off and they gave me another knee, a complete new knee.
Right.
As soon as they put that in, that didn't work at all. So they gave me another one like 36 hours after.
Right.
So that's 3 new knees of that.
Wow.
So as time's gone on and everything's done okay, it slowed me down. I'm starting to put weight on because I couldn't go to the gym and I had all these problems. But I still kept going to my wrestling school. And I thought, you know what? Do I call it a day? No. I'll just pass my knowledge on to other people.
Yeah.
Now, my style is I'm trying to help the people out. I like watching the wrestling. I always have done, any form of wrestling. But I've gone off a lot of the, not American stuff, don't get me wrong, but I do like the NXT UK brand.
Yeah, yeah.
Where they're trying to keep it, where it depicts 2 people basically having a fight.
Yeah.
And I do know, and your listeners must appreciate that they're trying to keep it right. Wrestling's like fashion.
Yeah.
It comes round in a full circle. It's like in fashion, when the sun's out nowadays, it's boob tops and little miniskirts. They've come back, which I'm glad to say. But wrestling's the same.
Yeah.
And it's going back to, like I say, people getting stuck with it, getting stuck in. And what people don't realise, William Regal, Robbie Brookside, Johnny Moss, James Mason, all them guys are British. And they're training the stars of tomorrow, today and tomorrow. And they're the best there is with the best facilities.
Yeah.
We never had that.
No.
We never even had the wrestling gym. They're cropping up on every street corner now.
Yeah. Does seem to be that way. Yeah.
Yeah. And anybody off the street can be a wrestler.
Yeah.
Nowadays you couldn't.
I very nearly, I've said this in a couple of previous episodes, I very nearly got to that point myself. I always wanted to be a wrestler. You know, regardless of, you know, I'm not built like one at all. You know, I probably would fit in more nowadays, but I was hours away from going. I was living in Stoke-on-Trent at the time, and I was hours away from going to Wigan on a Sunday afternoon, I think, to start a training school there. And I bottled it. I was like, you know, nerves, shyness, whatever. I was like, no, I don't. I know I won't be cut out for it.
Yeah, well, Wigan, to be honest, is the hotbed of the amateur wrestling and shoot wrestling. And a lot of good wrestlers went there if they were allowed in, because you couldn't just walk. I was very fortunate. I had a great mentor in Billy Robinson, who taught amateur and catch wrestling. If you mention professional wrestling to him, he'd just knock your bleeding head off. That was it. Because it was just, if anybody says, I want to be a wrestler, but I want that stuff you see on TV, he'd just throw them out the door.
Yeah.
But it was always a good background.
Yeah.
And he took me over to Billy Riley's place once. I was only 12. And, well, the tales there, I mean, it was really a wooden. There's actually a clip on YouTube about it.
Right.
I only put it on last week, to be honest. And Billy opens the gym, and you get people like Bob Robin, who was Billy Joyce, and all the Wigan guys, Jack Dempsey, and they're wrestling on a mat, and there'd be a big stove in the corner that was burning logs, and you got your ass branded on that if you wasn't no good, you know. But there were great memories. But the thing is, as far as the pro job's concerned, when Billy Robinson went doing his trips abroad to Japan and America, I decided enough was enough of amateur wrestling, going for these little medals, and I was 17. I was quite successful. I got the British Championship the same year as the Munich Olympics.
Wow.
And let's get one thing straight. The amateur lads, compared to them all over the world, are just not in the same league. I mean, when the Russian lightweights come out, they're the lightweights are as big as our heavyweights, if you know what I mean. The necks on them and the legs.
Yeah.
Anyway, I decided to give this wrestling lark a bit of a go because I'd got a good amateur background.
Yeah.
And because Billy had taught me, they accepted me quite well. And there's a great guy, the original Bulldog, Colin Johnson, and a load of guys from Wigan and Billy Robinson's cousin, Jack Robinson, and we used to train. And I was well liked. I didn't come off the street corner like a lot of them. They knew that this kid could have something, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was great, to be honest. And I'd only been wrestling 6 months, and I got an offer to go to Mexico.
Okay. Wow.
Which,
that was...
You know, how the hell do we get to Mexico? I can't drive. I don't get there. Anyway, Mum and Dad came along, and I went to Mexico, and I should have been there for 6 weeks. I stayed there for 3 months.
Wow.
And I was fortunate to wrestle Pedro Aguayo, who was like a living legend.
Yeah.
Sadly passed away. And if anybody says to me, what's your biggest crowd? All right, it was a good card, but I was top of the bill because I beat Pedro Aguayo.
Wow. Okay.
In a match before. We had some good chemistry.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've got all the cuttings to prove that these people think you're talking bullshit. If you talk bullshit, you've got to back it up, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Anyway, I beat Pedro Aguayo, and if you get beat in Mexico, if you're top of the bill, you've got to have your hair cut, or the mask has to come off.
Yeah, okay.
So he did a runner.
Oh,
basically.
right.
So they all said, where is he? Anyway, it was to do a G. And the next thing is, the next big show, it was at the Arena Mexico. I've got the date in my diary. It was 1977. I was top of the bill with about 6 other championships underneath us, like the great Santos, Mil Mascaras, all these big names were underneath me and Pedro. And the heat, it was like, he's going to beat him again. Is Pedro going to have his hair cut? Well, actually, we drew 33,000 people.
Wow.
And
this was when, 1976, did you say?
77.
70. That's a serious crowd back then.
And it was serious money.
Yeah. Because
don't forget the poverty over there. It was only like 20 pence, 10 pence to get in. But 33,000 people. And I ended up, and I don't want you to tell the tax man, I ended up with £998 all them years ago.
Wow.
And when I came back, my dad took it off me. And we put a deposit on a house.
Oh, okay. I was going to say you owed it to him, did you?
Yeah. Actually, I was coaching my wife at the time, and my dad said, what are you going to do? You're always abroad. You're always on the cruise ships. So we made a deal that we wouldn't get married until later on, have no kids. So he said, right, there's £1,000, that money. I went, hang on, Dad, 998 quid just gone, wallop. He said, you don't need it. It's an investment. And I put £1,000 down on a £13,000 brand new house at the time.
Okay.
And he said to my wife, Pam, who's sadly passed away now, he said, right, he's bought the house. This marriage thing, it's a two-way thing. You pay the solicitor's fees, and then you set up. And that's what we did. I think she paid about 33 pence or something for solicitor's fees, but it was there.
Yeah.
But wrestling's always been good to me. And lately, I mean, I could show you if we was on camera, but my shelf here is full of tablets. I ended up having that operation for my fuse leg. And lo and behold, the infection came back on my knee again.
Right, okay.
It was seriously fighting to save my leg, so it frightened me this time.
Yeah.
And they don't know why it keeps coming back. But I've been flat on my back for like 8 weeks.
Oh, wow.
I've not had alcoholic drink for 9 weeks.
No.
Due to tablets, because if it comes back, they've told me I'm going to lose the leg, which I don't, obviously.
No.
You know what I mean? So it's a bit frightening times, but I've started going back to the gym again.
That's good.
Teaching, so I can sit down and tell them what to do.
Yeah.
I've got a good, happy band of people. And if I do see anybody, male or female, kids or whatever, I can recommend them to NXT UK and get them out there on some shows. So I think I'm doing something right.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, we'll take a trip throughout your career probably first, for anyone who is either familiar and, just wants to hear about it again, or anyone who may not be familiar with yourself. We'll touch on a few points and then we'll bring it a little bit more up current, because, you are playing a role in shaping the current and future products.
I like to think so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I mean, going back to, I understand you made your debut in 1975 and you got your first singles championship in 1976, which was the British Light Heavyweight Championship. Is that right?
You say so, to be honest.
That's what I got written in front of me. That's fine. This was the start of your notable feud with Rollerball Rocco.
Yeah.
And what was it, do you think, that made that so successful? Was that actual sort of, was it just chemistry in the ring, or was there real heat between you, or what was it that made you two work together so well?
Being honest, if I said I didn't like Rollerball Rocco, I'd be telling lies, because I admired him. And it happens. You get Jackie Pallow and Mick McManus. You get Big Daddy and Giant Haystacks. Steve Gray, Johnny Saint, Mick McManus, and you get the characters in the business, but they all can wrestle. And what Rollerball did, we came in the business virtually the same time. Now, he had a famous father. His dad was Jimmy Hussey, so he came in that way. Yeah. And he didn't know whether he wanted to be a wrestler or he was an international show jumper, was Mark.
Okay.
So they didn't know which path to go. Anyway, he chose wrestling. Now, the thing is, he didn't look down on me or anything like that, but he was the guy that had the designer clothes. He was the guy that had a TR7 car. He played the part of the playboy, and he had a beautiful wife, well, girlfriend there, and a lovely family that looked after him. And I'm not saying he had everything, but, he had a better start because his father was in the business. And so we was actually shooting for top spot. And there was one or two times with Rocco is you'd be wrestling away, and right out of the blue, the best thing I could say is unexpected and erratic. He'd kick you in the back and leave you his laces print on the back of your back.
Wow.
But the next thing is, you get up and before you know it, you're actually chinning each other for real.
Yeah.
And the crowd saw that. Hey, these two are getting stuck into each other. Plus the TV saw it.
Yeah.
Plus when it was on TV, the hall managers wanted it. So I was actually wrestling quite a lot.
Yeah. And
I didn't hate Rollerball. In fact, I admired him. I wish I could be like that sometimes. But I'm the guy that had to get up in the morning, go to the meat market to make a living.
Right, yeah.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So it wasn't any bitterness. It was just that I was a bit jealous of him, really, because I thought, shit.
Yeah.
Tracksuit, he's got the suits on. And like I say, I was happy what I was doing, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But before we knew it, there was a bit of friction there because we started wrestling for the belts.
Yeah.
And then one promoter would have you for one belt and another promoter for another belt. And a lot of the top promoters, whether you believe it or not, I know they say I want him to win or him to win, but when two grafters get on together, I could go on with Finlay.
Yeah.
And if I thought there was another match out of it, he'd probably win.
Okay.
To get another match out of it.
Okay. Yeah.
Whether the promoter wanted it or not. And the problem is we did that for business.
Yeah.
And then many a time, Rocco would say, well, I should have won there. Well, why didn't you? Well, I thought no.
Could you call it in the ring back then? You weren't necessarily, or were you told this is what the result's going to be and you make it happen? Or did you have that ability to kind of just change the results where you felt they needed to go?
Oh, yeah. many times. That's why I was successful.
That's cool.
And the thing is, I was quite good at making somebody, and whether you think it's right or wrong, I could be on with a novice and make him look good.
Mm.
But when the Pete Roberts, for arguing's sake, Terry Rudge, Colin Johnson, all them guys that could wrestle, yes, we worked together. Yes, we told a story. But we never went in the changing rooms and worked anything out or anything like that.
Right.
It was just a magical thing to do. I worked his arm, he worked my arm.
Mm.
And then many a time, I remember going to Bellevue once. It was like iconic building in Manchester. Yeah. If you ever went to Bellevue, it was the place for Saturday night.
Okay.
You went to the fun fair, all the speedway was on, the dancing was on. That was like a little mini Las Vegas to the north.
Right.
Zoo was there. It was a full day out. But the ring was that hard. And it was 20-odd foot in them days, a proper old boxing ring.
Yeah.
And my dad had just bought me some wrestling boots. As true as I'm sat here talking to you, I'm on with Pete Roberts, who was a really underestimated, fantastic wrestler. Did really well in Japan, and he was good. Clean-cut type of guy. And I looked at him, he looked at me, he said, just go and enjoy it. So we went in, and my dad had bought me these brand new boots, and I remember having Lonsdale on the side of them. And they had like a felt underneath sole.
Right.
And I put my foot up in the corner. He turnbuckled me, and I put my foot up in the corner, spun round, put my foot on the floor, and my foot slipped on the canvas, and I banged my head. And I was out. I don't remember nothing apart from looking up at the big light over the ring with my arm raised.
Okay.
And I went back in the changing room. I get this big cheer because I was the local lad. And I said, how did that happen? You put your foot up in the corner, when you turn around, your foot slips up with your new boots. Yeah. You should always have resin on your new boots in them days.
Right.
And you slipped and banged your head. I said, no, not that. How did I get my hand raised? And what Pete Roberts had done, he went to slam me as I'm like just about to collapse.
Yeah.
And rolled himself up in a ball into like the cradle.
Right. Yeah.
And the referees counted 1, 2, 3. And he said, well, you're local lad, he said. It'd have been better you winning.
Wow.
And I went to myself. And then I went on with a wrestler called Tony Charles, who was like a young kid going on with Tony Charles.
Yeah.
But because I'd come from a good school and they knew I could wrestle a bit, right? Honest to God, well, not religious, but honestly, I went on with him and he made me look $1 million. He had me disappearing up my own ass and coming out the other end, and I just don't know how he did it to this day. But then I used to go on with people and make them look good.
I was going to say, is that something you picked up from those experiences that then you naturally wanted to carry on?
You know, when you take an arm, there's only so much you can do with it.
Yeah.
But you can feed, if you've got half a brain, you can put somebody in an headlock. And you're like half turning yourself out, and then they'll twig it and they'll do it.
Yeah.
But you take it from me, and I've just proved it. Ankle fusion. I'm on my 4th new knee. Even the doctor at Oldham Royal the other week, and I'm not being racist when I say this, he come, an Asian guy. He said, oh, I see you have a problem with your leg. Like all that. I'm not very good at taking Asian. But anyway, he said, my friend tell me you are a wrestler. I said, yeah. Or maybe I Googled you, which they did.
Right.
They all knew that, because they've got me notes and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
Because it was my hospital, Oldham. I only lived 3 miles from there. A couple of the patients on this ward. Hey, Marty, you all right? Yeah. Oh, what you been doing? And then you knew him, because I also had a pub in the town as well.
Okay.
So being a landlord, everybody seemed to know me.
Yeah.
And then this guy's gone, oh, that professional wrestling, it's all fixed in it.
It's not the best direction to go when you're talking to a pro wrestler, really.
So he says, that professional wrestling, it's all arranged and they don't get hurt in it. I've just had 3 new knees, an ankle fusion, and he's saying to me, is it bent? And I just couldn't justify it. Now, we've had that a lot. Me and Rocco knocked shit out of each other at Kelvin Hall. And I had 6 stitches in my head from Hanley. But I hit my head on the turnbuckle. Now, Rocco, believe it or not, and it's a true story, I was on with him at the Kelvin Hall. It was packed. And I turnbuckled him, and he straddled the turnbuckle with his legs. So, in other words, his private parts in the mid bit.
Yeah.
And the turnbuckle itself wasn't, it was a hook that hooked onto a hook. And instead of being the hook looking up north or south, it was looking at the side. So Rocco went in and he hooked his leg up at the back of the knee.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was taking like a piece of beef off a beef hook at the meat market. I'm having my stitches taken out. He's having his put in. And then they said, oh, that wrestling's a joke, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and you just feel like, sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, I know what people mean, I suppose, when they say things like that. The results are predetermined. I think that's got even more obvious and even more, documented lately in the last 20 years.
Yeah, but that's why ours wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, back in these days...
You probably surmise the good guy's going to win. But when the bad guy wins, don't forget, when we had 10 champions, we all respected the belts.
Yeah.
There were 10 British champions, for arguing's sake. So, if Rocco had beat me or Finlay had beat me or something like that in a non-title fight, we knew the producers would like the championship. Yeah, I lost once or twice to Rocco and I could have won.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, sometimes when Mark didn't want to lose because he thought he could earn money with the belt, and I thought I'd win more than him, and I wanted to work the belt, there was a bit of heat and friction there.
Yeah. I guess
answering your question, there's many times, who am I on with? Oh, you're on with him over there. Oh, you're on with Colin Johnson. Oh, right, okay. That was it. Left it to us. We did the best for the show.
Yeah.
Because every crowd was different.
Yeah.
Every town, every hall. And there was also the time you was on with people who thought he could beat you. And they was a bit cocky and a bit arrogant. And they didn't sell your stuff when you whacked them.
Yeah.
Well, they certainly sold it the next time you whacked them. Because that was the business. We protected the business.
Yeah. Yeah. Jumping forward a little bit here to sort of the more current day, do you think, or what do you think there is, because obviously the scene has changed massively, what do you think is missing compared to what you guys had sort of in the way that you performed, the way the matches acted out? Is there anything glaringly obvious to you that is missing these days?
Well, we never had script writers. So I could quite easily turn around and say, look, what do you need script writers for? I could quite easily turn around and say, why do you need all them cameras? We had 1 camera or 2 cameras filming the lot of us all day.
Yeah.
Now then.
I was going to say, that's quite odd, actually, because when I got into wrestling, I think World of Sport had finished for that time. It wasn't something that I had to look at when I was growing up. So I've really sort of gone back in time, like nowadays, and sort of seeing it. And I wasn't sure whether I was watching, some of it was like fan footage, because it's just from one angle, which growing up in the era that I did was quite strange. Like you say, you only had that one, and you literally just did everything you could in front of that one camera without, different angles making it look more effective or whatever. And probably an art in itself, to be fair.
Yeah, but also, that's why I like the WWE NXT brand, because they're on with people that look the part, girls, I admire the what's it at the top. When I look at now, this is somebody who's in the business and protects the business. I don't get it. WrestleMania and things like that. Because I'm old school.
Yeah.
Now I can watch some of the guys wrestle. I do get the Hulk Hogan bit of it. I do get the Charlotte Flair bits.
Yeah.
The good wrestlers and the workers and all these new kids coming through. I get all that. But I'm just getting sick and tired lately, and I've made my voice heard. I haven't seen a proper wrestling match yet where somebody wins. There's always somebody from outside interfering.
Yeah. Yeah.
People got jewelry on, wedding rings. I mean, she's a great asset to the business. That Ripley girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But all the costumes full of studs and everything. She's going to rip somebody to shreds one of these days.
Yeah.
And everybody's flying out of the ring. Nobody's doing anything different. But them that are, right? I always say to people like you, what's your standout moment in American wrestling, past or present?
Wow. Just trying to narrow it down to one.
Because you've not actually, say, you're the new era and not gone back in time, you know.
Yeah.
You've got to move with the times as well.
Yeah.
And I get it. Sporting entertainment. I get it. Not a problem.
Yeah.
But when Charlotte Flair or Ric Flair comes out of that changing room and down that ramp, even the gown, it looks world class.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's a baseball cap, a lollipop, and a string vest. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely.
Johnny's saying, and I'll tell you something, I might get in trouble for this,
Go on.
talking about wrestling. All right, I get the sporting entertainment of it.
Yeah.
There's wrestlers on that bill in the American scene. I mean, I speak to him a lot. He's a lovely guy. Cesario.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right? The Miz. There's one guy there, Zolf Ziggler. He can call what we call in the business screwed a lot of them.
Yeah.
Because he was a college wrestler. You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
Now
That's
then,
having a background.
I get Bobby Lashley. I get the size of him. Brock Lesnar. You've got to have in our day, we had our cowboys and Indians, and they're doing the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think you've just got a bit OTT on some of these pay-per-views where they're on top of a wagon or they're digging a hole and they're throwing somebody down and getting a digging and covering it up with soil.
Yeah.
Or they'll go in the back of an ambulance and they'll blow it all up.
Gimmick matches.
Yeah, but there's still a lot of good content in it.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen anybody, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm not bothered who listens to your podcast or whatever. And somebody may listen to this and they say I'm talking up through my ass or I'm giving too much away.
No.
I'm entitled to my opinion and that's it.
Yeah.
But the problem I've got is professional wrestling, right? Have you any grandchildren, by the way?
Me? No.
Right.
Not yet.
Have you any children?
Yes, I got 2.
Right. And I don't want to ask their age, but when there's kids, right? Do you believe in Father Christmas yourself?
Not anymore, no. But as long as they do, that's,
Yeah, I didn't ask that question.
But
do you believe in Father Christmas?
No, I don't. No.
You don't?
No.
Right. But when your children are 3 and 4 year old, you tell them there's no such thing as Father Christmas.
Yeah, I know. You just
and
don't
that
do it.
Professional wrestling is exactly the same.
Yeah.
Do they get hurt? Nah, no, they don't. Well, they do.
Yeah, I mean, what you do in the ring is still real. It's not CGI or anything like that.
Well, no, it isn't, because it's all pre-planned. It's all done. It's not. The finish might be or whatever, the result. And the people that are working things out, how many people build somebody up, get beat 1, 2, 3, then somebody else challenges him?
Yeah.
In other words, tell stories.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I tell my students, right, the only way, unfortunately, and I know this man personally, there's no Andre the Giants anymore. They've just introduced this big black lad with AJ Styles.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
Mojo, whatever his name is, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure. I don't really keep up with it much, but I know him. Yeah,
he's massive, and I met him personally in the Performance Centre because Matt Bloom has kindly invited me along with Regal, and one of my guys, Rich Holland.
Yeah,
he was training there, and I went down to the Performance Centre, and it was an honour to be there. It was frightening, goosebumps.
Yeah,
and I thought to myself, Jesus Christ, I wish I could have done this.
Right.
They haven't got one ring, they've got 7 rings.
Wow, okay.
The equipment and the people that you look up to and things like that. And I thought, you've got to admit, it's a multi-billion, not million, billion-pound business.
Yeah.
So they're doing something right.
Yeah.
But the answer to your question is whether you believe it or you believe it not. WrestleMania this year was done at a bit of a difficult time with the pandemic and that.
Yeah.
But do you know how much? I bet you don't know, but do you know how much the top VIP ticket was?
No, I'm guessing. I don't know if I heard it was like $2,500, something like that. Am I?
Bang on.
Yeah.
$2,500.
Yeah.
Well, that gave you permission to go all to the little town shows as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The sort of
$2,500. It probably cost you that to get there and back.
Yeah.
Now I know for a fact that if you say wrestling is on Raw or SmackDown, it's on in Manchester in 12 months' time, it's already sold out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's always, especially
and
since
that's because they've got TV. Now,
yeah.
when we was on TV, we had our price of fame. Yeah. We used to have 14 to 16 million people watching it every Saturday.
Yeah.
They got the coupon out ready. But the good thing for us, you see him there? Yeah, that's that lad with the lazy eye who wears glasses. Who was on last week with Rocco. Oh, yeah. Well, he's on with Finlay. Guess what? He's on down the road. Should we go and watch it?
Huh?
Yeah, let's go. Now, when I walked out, you got Rocco raring up. I walked out. I looked like a gynecologist. But when they went back in the bar afterwards, you're a good wrestler.
Yeah.
Because I could wrestle.
Yeah.
Well, if you get 2 people, sometimes 3 people, and unfortunately, whether it's gone more on the indie show type of thing, right? The spectators, we need them. The fans, we need them.
Yeah. They
buy and sell the merchandise. Maybe I'm taking it too serious, but at the end of the day, it's still a sport with entertainment in it. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll never take that sport element out of it, no matter how much you might have.
Well, not when we're getting people like NXT UK, and then all of a sudden, I watched that girl, Belair, is she called? The one with the long hair.
Yeah, yeah.
And I look at it from a wrestler's point of view. Why have they never pulled that girl's hair? Then lo and behold, they do it at WrestleMania. Because that's what I'd have done.
Yeah.
If you've got a beard on, I'd grab your beard. You know, things like that.
Well, it's kind of quite old school tactic, like antics.
That's what I'm trying to say. It's coming back again.
Yeah.
And people are starting to believe, hey, them two.
Yeah.
Did you see them? Now, there was some great matches.
Yeah.
And there was some shit matches in my eyes.
Yeah.
But the chemistry, they've got it right.
Well,
I didn't get that bit when Ric Flair was having a pop with the Charlotte Flair. And the girl, see, I don't know the names half of them, so you tell them that.
I haven't watched it for properly for sort of 15, 20 years, to be fair. So
anyway, there's
I wouldn't be able to help you.
No, there's this girl. She was a Marine at one time.
Right.
Lacey Evans.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah, no, I have heard about this angle. Yeah.
So she has a bit of a fling with Ric Flair. And he's getting involved in all her matches.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, come on, let's, you know.
Yeah.
But Andre the Giant, you see, I spent a lot of time with Andre the Giant. And I looked up in awe. And everybody knew who he was, whether you like wrestling or not.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of them anymore.
No.
Giant Haystacks, who used to take around with me all the time, Big Daddy. You say Big Daddy was a joke. I'm telling you about Big Daddy. He was a lifeguard. He could wrestle, right? He was a bit of an hard man and a tough nut. It was his brother that made him Big Daddy, who's a star's favourite. And when I had Haystacks in my car, he'd be asleep by the time he got off the car park. And you're going to do 200-300 miles with him leaning on your shoulder.
That's going to be one of my obvious questions, actually, because, you know, British wrestling, the first two, whether you're a wrestling fan or not, the first two that spring to mind, obviously, is Big Daddy and Giant Haystacks. What were they like to be around in the ring and out?
In the ring, I was only Big Daddy's tag partner a lot, because he always had like a young lad or Danny Collins or somebody's partner. That was the chemistry there. Right? And you've got to realise that the promoter was his brother.
Right, yeah.
His other brother was the referee.
Okay. Family business.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if you was fortunate enough to be a good wrestler or popular, you could work for 6 promoters that came under the banner of joint promotions.
Okay.
Now, Max Crabtree, he ran up north and he put you on the shows. Because of the chemistry he had with people, or even if he had no chemistry, he knew it'd be a good match. But then he'd also have the big guys, and people say around that Big Daddy, he was a balloon money. Yeah, well, that guy sold Wembley out 3 times.
Right.
So without him, we wouldn't have got paid.
No.
They weren't going to see me. But I'm saying that afterwards at the bar, oh, you're a great wrestler. That's what wrestling's all about. And it was a good match with Pete Roberts. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But everybody's got a role. Cat Weasel. You know, his proper name was Gary Cooper, believe it or not, like the actor.
Okay, yeah.
And he went in with the Essie and sack thing and a beard and a little frog. And he looked like Cat Weasel, so he stuck with it. Now, when he was Gary Cooper, nobody knew him.
No.
But all the kids knew him because of the frog.
Yeah.
But the good thing about the British wrestling, they had somebody on to bore them to death, a good wrestling match.
Yeah.
On top of the bill, a comedian or a comedy actor send them home happy.
Yeah.
And people did get it one way or the other.
Yeah.
It's horses for courses, and nobody will ever knock it to me. Worldwide, it's been a great business for me. But the modern day, and it'll come back again. It's doing great. I mean, there's some girls and guys on there for that NXT UK. I mean, if you ask me who my favourite wrestler at the moment is, it's somebody you've probably never heard of. I mean, I like Cesario.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why he's not getting the big push is because he's from Switzerland.
Okay.
What do they like in Switzerland? Yodeling and cycling, and that's it.
Yeah.
But they like wrestling, so they get. I mean, they've just done a TV deal. Well, it's not in doubt. They've signed it. They finally got into India. Now, India's massive.
Yeah.
Right? So can you imagine how many viewers that's going to have once it gets going? But unfortunately, it's come under the pandemic thing now because they're having it tough. So everything's on hold. Our British wrestling with the Americans, we've been put back 18 months.
Yeah.
Because nobody's been allowed to train, nobody's allowed to do this, that, and the other. Now then, the next question I've got to think to myself, are people going to stop in and watch it on telly rather than go to the live shows? Well, I've just been this morning to try and book some of the local halls, and I was amazed. They welcome us with open arms.
Yeah.
And now they've had to turn around and say, I'll say, what date can I have on Friday or a Saturday? or you can't have that one because we've got a wedding on.
Right.
But the next 4 Saturdays or the next 6 Fridays, you're all right. Oh, you can't have that day because it's Easter. That's how it used to be.
Yeah.
They've told me today they've no dates free till the end of the year.
Wow.
And I said, why is that? He said, because nothing's been happening.
People want to go out.
What a lot of people are doing, when this pandemic's over, they're having Billy's 18th birthday and they're having the wedding anniversary and they're having the wedding.
Yeah.
And going ahead with them and rebooking them.
Got you.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking maybe it was, I mean, in terms of what you were saying about will people go to the live events or stay in and watch it? I think for live events, for one, I've just been so desperate to get back out there in that atmosphere again. I think once these shows are actually on, if you can book them, obviously, getting the crowds, I don't think it'll ever be an issue now because people have been deprived of it.
The only thing that they won't do if they haven't got the money. That's
true. Yeah.
I just hope that the promoters don't get greedy and say, "Oh, let's double the price" or whatever.
Yeah. No, they need to get themselves back.
But I tell you what's got to happen. The wrestlers themselves have got to give quality shows.
Yeah.
And this is coming back to the original question. If I was on with somebody or there was some hard men in our game, and if you don't reach the mark, they used to splatter you all over the place.
Yeah.
Because they were defending the business. I remember my second match, I was on with Tony Charles, and you'll know it as like a sharpshooter.
Yeah.
And I put that on, and a guy got out of it.
Right.
This wrestler called Abe Ginsberg came to me after the things. Can I have a word? I said, yeah. And I shit myself. This guy was a proper boots fighter. You know what I mean? Knock your head right off your shoulders.
Right.
He was an hard man. He put his finger out. He said, you've come into the business the right way. But now you're in the business. If you ever put that sharpshooter on again, or that hold he called it, and you let the guy kick out of it, I'll rip your head off.
Right.
And I thought he was taking the piss. I said, why? That's my finish.
I was about to say that, yeah.
When I put that on, nobody kicks out of it. Now, you just put it on with a skinny kid and he just kicked out of it. I tell you what, I didn't put it on ever again.
No.
You know what I mean?
It's funny you should mention that, actually. So one little thing I wanted to circle around, actually, you touched on at the beginning about back in those days when the guys would come from overseas to wrestle over here. So obviously I've seen your match that's on YouTube with you and Owen Hart, which is, it's probably my favorite era of Owen Hart as well. I mean, he was fantastic towards the end, but that really early era, I thought he was
fantastic wrestler.
Yeah. You also en route to the early 80s, en route to winning, I think, the World Mid Heavyweight Championship. You were involved in a tournament where you actually defeated a young Bret Hart in the semi-finals.
Yeah.
Was that the only time you worked with him, or were there other times? No. Do you remember anything?
Don't forget, I was on my travels then. Because what happened when you was in, say, Mexico, somebody from Germany would see you. Now, Europe in them days was good for our guys. You can get in your car, and if you was at Hull Docks, 5 o'clock, get a 6 o'clock ferry through the night, you could be in Germany the next day. So then you was in Germany at the European tournaments. They did 10 days at a time.
Right.
And you went to Spain and St. Peter's and places like that. And they ran tournaments in a big tent. So all these big stars over Europe, they'd have one look at you and say, hey, would you like to come to Spain? Would you like to come here? Would you like to come there? Because wrestling was worldwide.
Yeah.
So that's where you got a lot of work by doing that. And you're wrestling different people. What happened with me and Owen? A lot of people don't know this, and it doesn't matter to me.
Mm.
But when a guy from, you mentioned Wigan, John Foley and Dynamite Kid, they worked for Stu Hart, who was the father of the Hart Foundation and all that.
Yeah.
And they had a great organisation there, and they had Stampede Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was proud to say I was part of that.
Okay. Wow.
And I was a British Bulldog before Davy Smith, because me and Dynamite tagged together. Only briefly, but it was that time when they were kids.
Yeah, yeah.
I was a bit older than them, right? But only by a few years. But the good thing is, I was either on with Bret, Keith, Smith, Owen, Hart, nearly every other night.
Right.
We did what they call the loop.
Yeah.
Where you travel, wrestle, had some fun times, some dodgy times, and some bad times, but it learnt you the business, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And I'm pleased to say I'm still friends with Harry Smith.
Yeah.
Davey Boy, obviously.
Yeah.
Me and Bret we had a bit of a discussion, and he got the wrong end of the stick, and we don't speak to each other now, unfortunately.
Okay.
I haven't fell out with him, but I think he's fell out with me, but that's...
Okay.
You got to move on.
Yeah, yeah.
But all the rest of the family, Natalie and Harry Smith, are very good friends.
Yeah, brilliant.
And a few things have happened since then. But you have to know the people you're dealing with. But the good thing is, I wrestled Owen and Bret a good few times.
That's brilliant.
And if I tell you the true tale, Owen was coming to this country. Only a short time, for a week or whatever.
Mm.
And he got into London, and the weather was bad. And he should have been coming from London to Manchester. But Manchester Airport was shut.
Right.
We were doing a TV show. And we was wrestling at King George's Hall in Bradford, of all places.
Right.
Well, Bradford, from Manchester Airport, is only half an hour away, 45 minutes at the most. But the weather in Bradford was far better than what it was in Manchester Airport.
Right.
So there was a delay, and he got the flight from London to Bradford, where a taxi picked him up. And it was only a matter of 20 minutes.
Right.
But what happened in World of Sport days, they did 3 matches, which would go out on the Saturday. And if you was match number 2, so it'd be 1, 2, and 3. If you was match number 2, you was top of the bill on that Saturday.
Yeah.
And then if you was 4th and 5th match, if you was 5th match, you was top of the bill the following week.
Yeah.
So the middle match was top of the bill.
Mm-hmm.
And I was second on. The wrestling started. The first match has gone in, and Owen's not even here.
No. Okay.
So they said, right, we're going to put you on 5th. In other words, the following week. Because all they do is film it and put it in the can.
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
Because at one time it used to be live. Then because of football and the new producer. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So I'm waiting. We've had the interval, and on the 4th match, he's still not there.
Right. But you're getting a little bit tense by that moment.
The next thing is, we always had a standby match. And he said, we can't put the standby match on. But if he's not here for the 5th match, I said, why can't it go on 6th? He said, because that's the match they always chop and change if they need the time. Anyway, he arrived. And he had enough sense to put his gear on in the taxi.
Oh, wow.
And I swear to you, on my daughter's life, how are you? Oh, what a nightmare trip. Hey, Marty, it's good to see you. I hear you, I'll call you, my heart, my music's on. Simply the best. So I go in the ring, he went in the ring, and I've not wrestled him for at least two and a half years prior to that.
Right.
And body language, called a few shots out in the ring. The crowd were fantastic. They showed it all. And he's such a good grafter. What I mean by that, I was putting myself into holes. I knew what his hot spots were. He knew what mine was. And when your corner posted somebody, they either went in like normal or did something crazy to make you look good. And it just ticked. And Ken Walton, believe it or not, who was the voice of wrestling, as you said, as you know. And I don't want to sound big-headed, but it were true facts, and I'm proud of the fact because I can actually sit here and tell you.
Yeah.
Ken Walton, if you listen to the match, he said, this is one of the best matches I've ever commentated on. Now, don't forget, he was on there for 25, 30 years. Yeah. I think it was 33 years. Every Saturday, going into people's homes.
Yeah.
And he just said that. Now, if Ken Walton said, oh, Marty Jones takes his leg off now and hits him over the head with the soggy end, the old age pensioners and the disabled people and all these people that loved our game and believe it.
Yeah. Right.
And that shot me up another level, no end. Because Ken Walton always spoke highly of me when I was on TV. And whatever he said was gospel. And then Finlay came along, and then a few championships came along. And that's what got my platform, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's when the commentators have the power to get people over, as they say. Yeah.
Well, it's like now, you know, he's a great guy, Nigel McGuinness.
Yeah.
You know, he'll say, oh, this guy, Saxon Huxley, Sam Gradwell, or this girl, or this guy has actually come from the Marty Jones Academy. It's surprising. The week after, I get one or two people saying, can I come to your academy?
Wow.
And even if Regal tells them that I trained him, all he's got to say is, without Marty Jones, and I don't ask him to.
No.
But if they say it, it's surprising how many inquiries I get.
So let's on that point, nicely segued in then, let's talk about William Regal. You are the guy mainly responsible and credited with training him. How did you discover him? How did he come to you? And just, you know, any memories of those early days of sort of getting him started?
Basically, when they say, did I train him? The answer to the question, no, I didn't train him. He was already in the business as a young kid. Right? And what happened, he lives in Blackpool. And in Blackpool, there used to be a really great promoter and a nice guy. And he used to run some shows in Blackpool on the pleasure beach, basically. And how can I put it? In the summer season, one or two of them used to be planted people, and they were wrestlers in an audience. And who will challenge him? Who'll wrestle this guy for 25 quid?
Yeah.
And then you get somebody say, I'll have a go. He'll say, no, you're too small, you lad. Then somebody, a big guy, will say, well, I'll have a go at him. Do you honestly think you'll last two rounds with this guy? Yep. All right, come on in, have a go. So he would go in, but he was actually a wrestler.
Right.
The crowd didn't know that. Right? Drew McDonald was the best because he was a big lad and he's Scottish. I'll go on with him, I'll rip his head off and all that shit. So he thought he was a drunk Scotch guy. But the thing is, as you're walking in, Bobby Barron's taking a fiver head off them all. And William Regal, Darren, his first name is, started doing a bit of this. Now, I didn't do it. Not saying it was right or wrong, but I wasn't in that. I was busy enough with me wrestling.
Yeah.
Right? Now, whether it's right or wrong, you learn your wrestling. Hey, you come up against someone that can have a proper go at you. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
And I thought this kid's wasted. Right? Because one, he had the looks, blonde hair, blah, 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 blah. And I had a gym in Oldham. And it was my auntie's equestrian centre. And it was all bales of straw and chickens and shit all over the place. And Max Crabtree, who was Big Daddy's promoter, who we talked about before, if he saw some big guys like wagon drivers on the M6 or whatever, or like a Jeff Capes or something like that, he used to give him a card.
Right.
You ever fancy becoming wrestling and wrestle Big Daddy? Go to this gym, unknowing to me. And all these big guys would turn up, and we'd end up having to smash them about a bit, because we thought he'd come knocking. And Finlay, he used to come to the gym now and again.
Right.
And you want to see him have some of them. You couldn't get in the ring, half of them. They were that big. But the next thing is we were knocking them out because we didn't know who they was.
No.
But then Big Daddy's brother said, what did he be like to go and bounce off Big Daddy and all this? So he's all right, and so did get a job. But going back to Darren coming in the business, I thought he was wasted. We got him with joint promotions promoters. The rest is history. He started being Big Daddy. He was a good-looking lad, young. He was ideal for Big Daddy's thing. But I thought he was wasted. And to be fair, I used to get the bus and come over from Blackpool. That was 100 mile on the bus. And you think he's got something, this kid. He really has. And he learned quick, and he had it. But there was something deep in his mind that I could. He was caught for the job. He had the looks, he had everything, but he always wanted to be on stage. Did Darren?
Okay.
He wanted to be another Tommy Cooper.
Okay.
He wanted to be a comedian, and all his friends. I mean, we have 2 friends in Oldham. Sadly, one's just passed away, Cannon and Ball. Well, he knew all these comedians and all these artists for when he was at Blackpool, you see. And he was involved with that. He's involved with a lot of magicians and people like that. He still is. Yeah. Very friendly with them all. He's very friendly with a lot of the artists that perform in Blackpool for the summer seasons. Well, as far as wrestling's concerned, he had it in his head that it was just starting in America. And I actually thought he would have been a very good ring announcer.
Yeah.
I thought he'd be good. Anyway, he took it on board. He trained. He left these countries. Now, some people ask me this on podcasts. Did he pay his own fare over to be there? It wouldn't have surprised me.
Wow. Okay.
Which happens.
Yeah.
But I don't honestly know. And I've never asked him, and it's not for me to ask him anyway. But whatever he's done it very, very well because it's very highly thought of.
Yeah.
Now, there's something there that he can see in somebody. I could take an old tramp off the street. But if you had a sporting chance, an ex-rugby player or footballer, William Regal would think, let's spruce him up a little bit. Let's get him in the gym and let's do it. And he can see things in it. And he's very good at speaking. That's where I know he'd have been a good comedian come speaker. And I think everybody knows who William Regal is. That's the main thing.
When I was growing up, I used to make my main era when I was growing up was obviously the 90s. And I remember when he went into WCW as Lord Steven Regal. I could not stand the character. He did it that well.
Exactly.
That I really had a distaste for him. And his wrestling style did not fit with anything else because it was a typical British wrestling style. And whereas I didn't like it...
Let me just interrupt you there.
Yeah.
If you'd have added the word in, there's one word that I add into all my students that come to my gym. Right? Be different. Do different stuff.
Yeah.
As I said, we haven't got any Andrew the Giants with 3 heads or anything like that. People know.
Yeah.
Right? But if you could, that ring is your shop window.
Yeah.
Style. And there's another guy who used to really piss me off. And when he walked down that ramp, I felt like punching him on the nose with a cricket bat or something. Right?
Yeah.
And I do it to this day. That Chris Jericho, later on in his career.
Yeah.
But when Vince McMahon comes down the ramp and he does all that swinging around with
his arm, yeah.
That pisses me off too. But that's his unique style.
Yeah.
And Regal's before all of them. Even I can see him now with that smirky look in his face.
Yeah.
Where one eye would go up and shut one eye and the other eye would go down the floor and put his hands behind his back.
That's it.
Like when he did the Lord William Regal.
He was. Yeah.
you couldn't take away from him. The main thing was he could wrestle.
And this was it. I may have disliked him as a character, but I was so mesmerized with his style.
Yeah.
Even though it was so different, it didn't feel almost like comfortable seeing him up against how some of the other guys at the time were wrestling. But I was so captivated because he was different.
And he could have himself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've come to respect him, that early run in WCW, which, like I say, I hated. I really respect that looking back on it now, because even back then, he whatever he was doing, he did it remarkably well.
Oh yeah, and listen, I mean the job he's got now. I get one or two people say, "Hey Marty, we have a word with Willie Regal so you can get me a tryout." The answer's no. He tells me, "Do you know such and such about it?" I'll say, "Yeah." Right. Well, I'd like to have a look at him. What's he telling me for? But if the opportunity's there, right? Now you've got to appreciate diversing a little bit. Everybody knows Regal, not just in this country or America, worldwide. How many emails must he get a week, a month, a year?
Yeah.
And I'll guarantee you he answers every one. Or he gets somebody to do it, but he'll read it.
Yeah.
Because he's that type of person.
Yeah.
And when you become a wrestler, it's very, very difficult when you're on the road, in my day, to have a family life.
Yeah.
When you're at the top where you're flying here, there, and everywhere, take it from me. Even though they might be on a first-class jet or whatever, no sooner have you landed, you get whisked off, you do this, you do that, you got to do the other, and then you're off to the next town. All right, the difference is we went in an old clapped-out car. They fly there and back, which they deserve. But they have rules and they have regulations, and if you're not there by a certain time, you're sacked. It's not as if everything's got to be run proper. When you get that invite or whatever, you are representing the WWE. And that's the way it is, whether you like it or not. If you go with a bad attitude or you think you're better than what you are, they suss you out within 5 minutes. Bye-bye. Sayonara.
Yeah.
That's it. You've gone. So it's not an easy job.
No. And you can see if they've got that many people coming through, like, so they haven't got, they got the money, but the wasting the time and the money on someone who, doesn't want to put in what they should do.
Well, no, you don't get that far, because even before they sign you, they have a figure that, don't forget all your medicals, don't forget all your transport and everything, and everything's done. The money that I don't know. I only believe what I see, not what I hear.
Yeah.
But it was something on Google last week. The top 10 earners, what they're worth, not what they've got. Sorry.
Yeah.
And this is going over years as well. I don't know whether it's true or not, but I went, hang on a minute. Vince McMahon, the head of the company, this AEW's come in, and it's only my opinion again. I'm not saying it's good or bad, but it ain't my style at all.
No.
I just don't like it. And the simple reason being is what we said in the podcast. There'll be a match that's on, and they're all right, right? Then all of a sudden, there's 10 of them in fighting.
Yeah.
And the two people that was initially in there, they've slid off. They've gone.
Yeah.
There's no outright bad guy, good guy, people getting injured, people getting carried out. You understand what I'm saying?
Everything's kind of bleeding into one narrative.
Yeah. And it's like, but that AEW, right? All right. They've got a money man behind that. But this is only reported. Vince McMahon. This is common knowledge. It was there on Google. How much do you think he's worth?
Oh, God. I mean, I would like to say, it's got to be in the billions, really, to be honest. But
1.8 billion.
Yeah.
Billion.
Yeah.
So
it's insane. But
he's it's all the fingers in the pies. Now, and then Jericho at number 10.
Okay.
And then somebody else and somebody else. Steve Austin, that was it. Cena.
Yeah.
All them people. He was talking about what's he called? Steve Austin.
Yeah.
Now, he's a great grafter, Steve Austin.
Yeah.
Some of the angles he did and all that, right? And what he's doing now, he's got a ranch there, 100 million. And if I had 1.8 billion, you could run any company in the world, couldn't you, just on the interest?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But I tell you what, they've got a hell of a lot to shell out because some of them talents they don't use, but they're on a contract.
Yeah. And this is where it changed, didn't it?
Anyway, we diverged a bit.
That's fine.
For me, WWE, for me, is the best company in the world.
Cool. I've said this plenty of times, I think, because this is why I'm so rooted in a particular era, the one that I grew up with, which is the 80s, 90s. To me, I don't feel any era has come close to how good that was for me. But WWE now is almost unrecognizable. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing in a sense. It's just for me personally, it's completely away from what got me into interested in it anyway. But they have kept reinventing themselves. They kept themselves relevant.
Yeah.
Still now, and they were the ones that got the ball rolling with the no, keeping the shows on with no crowds. And then everyone else followed suit. They kept themselves going. I can't trash them for that. I may not be a fan of a lot of what they're churning out, but they're keeping themselves out there.
It's good they've kept it going because people. It's like over here, BT Studios. They're doing everything right. They can't just go and train. They've all got slots. They can train for 15 minutes. They've got to do this. And don't forget, all them people are stopping at the hotel. They can't move out. They can't do this. They can't do that. And don't forget, some of them that are there, they might be on a tryout. Or they might be asked to go and do it. They've had to go 10 days before to be in quarantine for that one chance.
It's true. Yeah.
But I can honestly see a big boom in British wrestling again. Purely and simply. And the only thing I'm frightened of, we've got a bit of a bad publicity with all this speaking out stuff and all this, that, and the other. And unfortunately, society at the moment, we're getting people because they're not on any shows or they're not getting the heat. They're doing other things by slagging people off, by having a pop at them, having a go at promoters. Having to go at talent, upsetting people, mental illness, and things like that.
Yeah.
And take it from me, when I had my leg injury, and you've been on your back for like 8-10 weeks, then you're on lockdown, you can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And you live on your own, it gets to you.
Yeah.
I've had to move a mirror that's on my wall when I'm sat here. I used to look at the wall, I could just see my head.
Right.
Who wants to look at my ugly head all the time? But before I knew it, I had to move the mirror up so I couldn't see myself. I was getting upset.
Right.
And you're on about mental illness and things like that. I've got a 7-month-old grandson in Australia that I haven't seen or held yet.
Yeah.
Because I'm not allowed to travel.
Yeah.
But going back to what I would like to put across, I'm getting all walks of life coming to my gym. And what I believe I'm doing the correct way, is being taught what I was taught. Wipe your feet before you get in the ring. Respect. And now, it's changed a little bit now. You don't have to be a great wrestler. It helps if you look the part and you can wrestle. But they're after somebody, say, off the street. If they're coachable, so the top coaches in this country and in the world can coach them into what they want them to be, you stand half a chance.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll say to me who's my favourite wrestler. I like Randy Orton because I wrestled his dad once or twice.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
I like old school. But Kyle O'Reilly, whether you know that name or not,
yeah,
he's right up my street, him. Because he gets stuck in and he makes it look good.
Yeah.
And any of these matches where they're depicting two people, listen to this word, having a fight.
Yeah.
Whether they are or not, Cesario's great.
Yeah.
AJ Styles is good.
Mm.
Some of these guys are coming down the ramp, clapping their hands and saying, yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Let's go. And I'm going,
Yeah.
hang on a minute. How stupid do you think I am? There's no crowd there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's I couldn't. I mean, again, not that I've been watching much of it, but I found it really uncomfortable watching any of it without a crowd, because it's just that's the most important element of it, really, isn't it? It's just having that that interaction.
I'll swear to you, a lot of these American wrestlers, right? The majority of them can't do British style.
No.
Until Willie Regal came along and used his expertise on about getting some of these wrestlers, your Pete Dunnes, your Trent Sevens, and all these guys, you know, they wouldn't be doing anything. But he saw something in them, and he saw a brand that he put forward. And I'll guarantee you, when wrestling's on in Blackpool at the world famous Winter Gardens, he'll be packed out because they know they're going to get a top show.
Yeah, absolutely. And you sort of on about William Regal passed on his expertise, knowing that you were instrumental really in that. He may have grown in his own way while he's been there, but you passed on your expertise to him early on.
Yeah, but it was that era where everybody was taught that way.
Yeah, yeah.
And wrestlers were taught wrestling, and that's why I say if you came out there, you see now, anybody can be a wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
You just go to a local school and that's it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they don't vet the trainer.
Right. No.
Some great trainers out there, but what have they done themselves?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And especially now, I bet you in the last week, why am I defending the business? Because I love it. Somebody was saying, oh, wrestling in Bolton for the first time ever. I got Colin Johnson ringing me up, who lives in Bolton, and he's had his leg off, funny enough, through wrestling. He's got a false leg on.
Okay.
We used to have wrestling at Wrighton Stadium and at the Albert Halls and places like that every week. And what another thing you don't know is all the halls we did, they weren't monthly or every 3 months. They was every week.
Yeah.
On a Wednesday, Blackpool Tower, every Sunday.
Yeah.
And you'd look at your date sheet and you went, oh, yes, I'm 50 miles from my house on a Sunday. But if you didn't have Blackpool Tower, you had Cleethorpes on the pier, which was 140 miles each way. Yeah. And if you didn't have that, you had the dreaded Great Yarmouth in summer, 300 and odd miles each way, behind tractors and all that lot.
It's great driving over in that part of the world.
Yeah, but every Monday you'd have Bradford, every Tuesday Oaken Gates, every Wednesday you had this. Yeah. And I'll tell you a bit of history now. At one point, in 1 week, with all these shows that there was on, Dale Martins and all the promoters in Scotland and all the promoters in London, they wanted one more show, which would have been every week of the year. What they had on one Saturday night, 1 week in a summer season, they had 52 shows in 1 week.
Wow.
British wrestling.
Wow.
They didn't have enough rings. They'd finish on the count and they'd take the ring with them over to another show. Unbelievable.
That is insane. What other country would do that, really?
Yeah.
But listen, we're gonna have to wrap it up in a little bit. But this is the floor, really. You've spoken so much about, what you have done, or I've said what you have done for the new, the current and the future of British and professional wrestling as a whole. Give a little shout out to your wrestling school. So tell everyone, what it is, where it is, and just give it a plug.
Yeah, well, that's very kind of you, because it's nice to get a plug in. But if I can, very, very quickly, I've had a couple of wrestling schools where they travel, and I have been. There's not many wrestling schools I haven't been to run my seminars. So if there's anybody out there that wants on a training night to give me a ring, I go to your place and I show them what I class a different style from everybody else that they are looking for in the WWE and places like that. And it does you good to be that word again, to be different. Now, the unique thing about I've always wanted to do this. When Billy Robinson, where it all started for me, I went to school in Failsworth. The gym I've got now is 2 miles from where I used to live. And it's in a place called Hollingwood. Hollin Wood, which is part of Oldham. And believe it or not, Johnny Saint, who's like my brother, right? My older brother, I've got to say, right? He went to Billy Robinson's gym. Myself, Jackie Robinson, Eddie Riley, Mike Jordan. There's quite a few guys that was in the pro game that went to Billy's gym. And Billy Robinson's gym is in the next town to where my gym is now. So we're bringing wrestling back to an area of Manchester. That's the first goal. Then we got hit by the pandemic, so we haven't really been training, only for the elite wrestlers, you know.
Yeah.
Now, the good thing is I'll be putting shows on and I'm pressing it forward. Anybody can come down. When I say that, it's open 24/7, but you will be shown my way, the right way, or it's the highway. It's simple as that. If you think you can do the job. But there's a golden opportunity there. And if you are good enough, and we get you on some shows, and you travel the country, it's not easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm trying to do whatever, and I'm doing all right. I do seminars, and I'm associated now very quickly with about 15 other wrestling schools worldwide. Going to Australia, we've got America, we've got Finland, Italy, all the European countries. And what they're going to do, when they can fly in, down the pandemic again, they're going to fly in. They'll stay with me over the weekend. We do training seminars, me, Johnny Saint, and all the World of Sport guys who are still keeping an interest in the business. Right?
Yeah.
And then we'll do a trainee show at night. So we'll have a show where the public can come in.
Cool.
So we're hopefully getting them on the ladder.
Yeah.
And that's what I like doing. That's what I'm proud to do. And if one makes it, like I said, I'm going to name a few.
Go ahead.
Saxon Huxley, who you know who he is.
Yeah.
That Ridge Holland, who was Luke Menzies.
Yeah.
There's girls, and we do girls as well. I've got some fantastic talent there at the moment that are just on the verge. There's a girl called Rio who's been wrestling a while, but even if you've been in the business, you can better your journey.
Yeah.
If you're starting out in the business, start it with us. And I don't mind if you come from another wrestling school or whatever, but it's always good to learn everybody's thing. And all I can say, I've been there, I've done it, so there ain't a problem. And that's it.
Brilliant. No,
if you look on Facebook or wherever, just look up the Squared Circle. We're on there. And even if you wanted to come down and just have a look at the place, it's 175,000 square feet, but we share it. The council own it. There's a boxing gym, there's weightlifting, but when I have my sessions, nobody's there at all.
Right.
But there's guys there that I think, and girls, have you done any podcasts with any of my crowd?
I haven't. No, I haven't had many British. Any from the British side of things. To be
anyway,
fair.
The good thing is they're all enjoying it as well. And I'm just trying to get them on the ladder and pass a little bit back. And it's overwhelming for one or two of them because Johnny Saint will be there.
Awesome.
And Colin Johnson will be there. The people that have been on World of Sport.
Yeah.
So they've got the opportunity. These guys come for nothing. They don't get paid. And they give their opinion, do this, do that, because they want to be part of it. So on that note, you've run a very good podcast. I hope you get a lot of success. No, seriously, you get some people that, what's he like? How did you get on with him?
Yeah.
What do you think to him? What do you think to him?
Yeah.
Now then, I'm going to go back to the one question that you didn't answer. What match sticks out in your head?
So it might be a bit of an odd one, but the one that really made my childhood was the Iron Man match from WrestleMania 12 for Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, because they were my two throughout the 90s. They were my top two. And
two unbelievable talents. Now, Shawn Michaels is responsible, for the NXT UK.
I didn't know that, actually.
He's one of the top dogs there. And the NXT, obviously.
Yeah.
Does all this virtual stuff. Now they can watch all the training. And they talk to each other. Johnny Moss rings me a lot. He's a great guy, right? And Johnny will turn around and say, we've done this, we've done that, we've done character building. Oh, it's hard, and we can't get him to do what you and Rocco, hey, we've got a match. And we're like Inge and Brackett talking about wrestling all the time, you know?
Yeah.
But it's in your blood, and that's it.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, if there's anyone listening to this who is umming and ahhing about getting in the business, weren't too sure how to do it, but you want to do it right, then go out there and look for Marty Jones Squared Circle Wrestling School, and there we go. I think you pretty much sold it to everyone anyway throughout all of this. You know, so Marty, thank you so much for your time. This has been incredible being able to talk to you. I'm really, really grateful.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you because, you know, I know you've got the business in heart, and I was going to ask you to get one of them guitars off the wall and play. You know, no. I've had some of that as well with some of the wrestlers. All
right. Yeah, no, very much a bedroom guitar.
If we ever get a chance again, I'll tell you about the times that everybody wants to know that I spent tagging with Andre the Giant and all his drinking.
It was on me. It was on my list, but you know, But to be fair, there's a whole batch here. I mean, your time over in Japan was one bit that I was going to sort of ask you about. But by all means, we've got to do this.
We'll do that again. Yeah, and I'll just finish on that note. Do you remember when Andre the Giant got slammed by Hulk Hogan?
Yes, I do.
Well, so does every other wrestling fan in the world.
Absolutely.
And that's the type of thing. Be different, and it sticks in their mind. If Andre the Giant had slammed Hulk Hogan, meant nothing.
No.
If it's the other way around, I remember that. And when the ring collapsed, I remember that. People will say, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, great match. Well, Bret and Shawn had great matches every night.
They did. But that one was special.
All the best to you.
Thank you, mate.
If you're ever up in the Manchester area, give me a call, and you yourself can come and do your podcast from my gym.
I would love that. I would definitely add that to my list, mate. Thank you so much. Thank you, Marty.
All the best to you, mate.
If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to like, share, and hit the subscribe button. Also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Once Upon a Turnbuckle to keep updated about all future shows.